Welcome back to the channel, guys. So in today's video we're going to do a quick portfolio update and then jump into doing some analysis on Novo Nordisk, which is one of the new positions in the portfolio. So without further ado, let's jump in straight to a portfolio update. Now, looking at the value of the portfolio, we're sitting at 4,400 euros currently, with a total return of 500 euros and a rate of return of 47.7%. So the market has been up in the last week or two since the last update. In terms of changes, I've moved my Amazon position from the US stock market to the EU just to mitigate FX impact on my portfolio. And our latest buy is Novo Nordisk, which we'll be doing an analysis of. ASML is up pretty big in the last week or so, jumping up to 32% in returns for us. And then there hasn't been any big moves other than ASML for us. Everything else is more of a story that's waiting to be played out. So that's a quick look at the portfolio's current performance. Let's jump into some analysis on Novo Nordisk. If you're not familiar with Novo Nordisk, they're a healthcare company that produce or specialize in producing obesity and diabetes medications. As we can see on their website here, they also produce other medications, but they're not as impactful on their revenues as the GLP-1 market right now. And they are doing R&D on other medications. Now, looking at the numbers, they are trading at a $60 price tag right now. Their market cap is sitting at 264 billion. Their next 12 months PE is at 12, and their trailing 12 months PE is at 15. As we can see here from this graph, they are down 52% on their stock price in the last year. However, their revenue has been growing at double digits of 12% year over year in the last 10 years. Their net income has also been growing at double digits at 14% in the last 10 years and 20% in the last year. Their free cash flow is pretty good. They've been growing at 10% in the last 10 years, and we do expect to see some fluctuation in free cash flow with pharmaceutical companies as they will spend money on acquisitions and R&D. Their EPS is also growing at double digits, 16% in the last 10 years and a huge 143% in the last year. Looking at their dividend, they also pay a very good dividend of 3%. So if you're looking for a company with potential growth prospects and a good dividend, Novo might be a good company to look at. Looking at shares outstanding, they are buying back shares. They're steadily buying back shares here, and they're at 4.4 billion in outstanding shares. So that is a good sign that they do believe in their company and they're buying back shares, which will also raise their EPS. Now, looking at return on capital, they have been returning over 20% since 2000, and that's very nice to see, as you expect high quality companies to return over 20%. And as we can see here, Novo Nordisk has been easily overachieving in that aspect. In terms of valuation, we can see here they are trading down compared to their previous averages in the last 5 years. So this may be an indication to jump in, as they may be due some multiple expansion in their PE ratios as well. Moving on from the numbers, which do look decent in comparison to their stock price, in their Q2 report, Novo has reported a sales growth of 18% driven by their obesity and diabetes care. However, they've lowered guidance in their financial outlook for 2025, so it's gone down from 13% to 21% expected to 8% to 14%, which has contributed to their stock price decline as well. They have cited some reasons for their decline in expectations, mainly competition from unauthorized compounded versions of, I'm not even going to try to say that, but you can see it there, and increasing market share loss to Eli Lilly's Mounjaro and Zepbound. And there also has been reports of doctors choosing to prescribe more of Eli Lilly's medications over Novo Nordisk. So there is some other headwinds that Novo is facing as well, including tariffs from the Trump administration, which could affect the entire pharmaceutical industry. And then while the company has a robust R&D pipeline, the success of upcoming milestones in obesity, rare disease, and other therapeutic areas is uncertain. So that's really referring to the approvals of new drugs that they come up with during their R&D. The outcome of those is always uncertain with pharmaceutical companies. And then in particular to Novo, they have cut 9,000 jobs, which makes things more uncertain. So in this article here, Novo Nordisk, the maker of blockbuster weight loss drug Wegovy, said today it will cut 9,000 jobs in a bid to reignite growth and fend off competition from US rival Eli Lilly and a wave of compounded copycat drugs. The restructuring, including the largest layoff in Denmark's history, is expected to save 8 billion Danish crowns, 1.25 billion dollars annually, and comes as Novo Nordisk is battling to revive its fortunes under new CEO after it lost the lead to Eli Lilly in the obesity and diabetes market. So moving on to some positives, there is the large TAM or total addressable market that Novo can grow into. So they have cited here in their Q2 report that there's 550 million people that live with diabetes globally, with over 90% outside of the US, and then 900 million people with obesity globally, with around 90% outside of the US as well. And they have indicated that there's an unmet need in this market that they're trying to address. And there's also reports that the GLP-1 market is expected to grow up to $156 billion by 2030. So if Novo can capture or be the number one or two player in this market, it will be a very bullish indicator for the stock. Moving on to the next positive, we have upcoming approvals. So as we can see here, they have a group of medications that are pending approval by the FDA. And the main one to look at here would be their pill for weight loss. So there currently is no oral versions of GLP-1s approved for weight loss on the market, but there is heavy competition between Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk in particular to be the first ones to market with this medication. Currently, Novo is awaiting approval for this drug by the FDA, and they're expecting a decision by the fourth quarter of this year. So, if they are the first ones to be out with this pill, they will be ahead of Eli Lilly in this particular segment, and it would be a very bullish indicator for the stock as well. Another positive is the CEO they've appointed. So they've appointed Doudstar as CEO, who brings over a decade of senior leadership experience within Novo Nordisk's international operations. He's also overseen a network of 80 affiliates outside of the US, serving over 35 million patients. And under his stewardship, the international operations sales have more than doubled in 2024. So they have appointed a CEO that's been within the company, who's very familiar with the operations of the company, which I believe is a positive indicator for them. And hopefully he performs well. The final positive that is what really attracted me to the stock is the attractive valuation. So as we saw in the numbers earlier, they have gone down in stock price 52% in the last year. However, their revenue and their EPS have continued to grow double digits. And looking at the stock price over the EPS, we can see that the stock price has traded in line with the EPS growth up until recently, which it's traded down massively in the last year. With the EPS expected to continue to grow, I do believe this dislocation makes the stock price very attractive at this valuation. Now, looking at some analyst estimates or forecasts, we can see that analysts do on average expect the EPS per share to keep on growing. So I would say roughly around 10% here, year on year growth. The net income is also expected to grow. The gross margin is expected to stay relatively the same. And we can see here at the bottom that the revenue growth is expected to keep going up steadily. So if we plug in some estimations here on Qualtrim, we can go with a relatively conservative estimate of 10% EPS growth per year. And let's say their multiple goes back up to more regular levels for this company. So let's say 18%. I'll put that in here. We can see that we can expect the stock price to roughly double within the next couple of years. Now, if we go for assumptions more in line with what Eli Lilly is doing right now, so they have a 28 PE, and we can say the EPS is growing at maybe 15%. If we plug that in here, so EPS growth rate at 15% with a, let's go for an EPS multiple of 25, we can see that the stock price can go all the way up to $200 per share by 2030, which is very bullish for the stock if some favorable conditions do occur. So that's it for a look at Novo Nordisk right now. In my opinion, it's at a very attractive valuation, which is why I opened a position in my portfolio. So let me know what you guys think, and I hope you enjoyed this format, and see you in the next one.